Good morning. Day 20 of my 30-day health challenge. Only 10 more of these mornings to go. I am sitting up in bed, and before I even get out of bed, I am going to take my glucose reading. And then I'll move into the family room where my tread desk is and keep recording from there. But when I'm home, not sharing the bedroom with granddaughter, this is what I do. I sit up in bed in the morning, and my husband has brought me coffee. It's sitting on my nightstand waiting for me when I sit up, and I take my glucose reading. I also use a little wrist cuff meter to take my blood pressure, so I can do that. I take my temperature. I'm not going to sit here and do a recording of that, but I can do that, tell you that number, tell you the blood pressure cuff number, tell you the glucose number, and then after I've taken those readings, I usually get up, go into the bathroom, and take my weight, and then move to the tread desk and start walking while I do my morning reading habit. So let's start with I will go ahead and take this one blood pressure cuff reading in front of you, just so you can see how simple that is too. So I set my coffee aside, and this is just a simple little wrist cuff meter that I got from Walmart. Oops, don't start reading. Okay, so I'm gonna unwind this. I had another one, but I gave it to my father so that he would keep track of his blood pressure. So I've got this on my wrist here, and I cinch it up. I like the other one that I got off Amazon for my father and left with him, but I'm not going to bother to look up a link for it and give that to you. It's easy enough to find wrist cuffs, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. I think you should be able to get one for around $30. All right, so I'm pressing the flat part against my chest just for leverage. Whoops. No, I have it cinched up enough. Okay, so then it's got a start button on it, and I'll press that. And while it's taking the reading, I won't run the camera because it'll just wait too long. But I'll start it and stop it so you can see that process. So turn it on, and then I don't talk. Okay, I have 118/64, and it shows my pulse as 56. So very nice, healthy blood pressure. I've gotten my husband, so he's started keeping track of his blood pressure as well. It's just something that creeps up as you get older, and it's a good idea to keep an eye on it. And I read an article that just a 10-pound weight loss can bring your blood pressure number down. So I have a simple little digital thermometer that I probably also picked up at Walgreens. Yes, it says Walgreens on it. And so I'll take my temperature. All right, that was 96.6. That may seem shockingly low, but we are not all perfectly 98.6 or whatever. So my temperature runs low, and I have learned that when my temperature starts getting up to 97 something or even 98, 98 can be an indicator to me that my body is struggling. I'm not feeling well. And I found that my temperature often will go ahead of feeling poorly. So if I wake up in the morning and I get a temperature above 97 something, I make a mental note of that, like, something's brewing probably. So that 96.6 to me is a really good sign that I'm doing well this morning after a day of travel and a day of eating lightly. things are looking good. So now the next thing is for the blood sugar reading, the glucose reading. And I have my phone. I had it sitting down here in my lap, and I've got my Dario next to me. So I'll just go ahead and take that number. All right. So here we go. Getting the glucose reading. Test strips. Meter. And touch the Dario app. Insert a new strip. Place a drop of blood. Nice. Touch it to there. And 77. Well, that would be wonderful if that's an actual number. Let's do another one. Verify with close digits. 78. All right, we are making great improvements in morning fasting glucose. Let's see how many mornings we can keep that up without blowing it with poor food choices. All right, so now I'm going to go to the data-driven fasting app, and I'm going to track glucose, waking, do a value of, I'm going to say 77, done. I'm going to record it. I'm also going to track it as my pre-meal glucose. So I'm going to put that here, before meal. Will you eat? You know, it doesn't appeal to me to eat right now, but this is my glucose value. I'm going to enter it and know that I can go ahead and eat. I did have a slight bit of hunger when I set up. So, and then it quickly went away, of course. I'm going to record. And that's the message I was expecting a couple days ago when I put in a good pre-meal number, and nothing came up, no message at all. So it's congratulations, your blood glucose is close enough to your personal trigger, time to eat a nutritious meal. Close. My personal hunger trigger right now that I need to fast until, if I want to be observing my trigger as my guide, is 81. I expect a few days of putting in pre-meal glucose numbers at 81 or below is going to drop this personal hunger trigger, but it's calibrated to do it slowly enough not to be forceful on the body. There's a daily lesson that has flipped over from, it's renewed, a new lesson each day. So this one says, do I need protein when I fast? So let's open that up. And it's not very long. Let me turn the camera around though. I'm going to condense this down into what I think you need to hear the most. And then if you're doing data-driven fasting, you could read the whole message for yourself when you get to this day of your fast. And for me, it's day 20. So it says, after not eating for a while, your body increases your appetite to seek food to replenish calories and nutrients, particularly protein, to ensure your muscles don't waste away. If you do not prioritize protein when you refuel, your appetite will step in and ensure you consume enough calories to get the protein your body needs. This is likely the main reason so many people lose and regain the same weight when they attempt fasting without paying attention to food quality. It can be challenging to get adequate protein without excess energy in the long term when fasting forces us to gravitate to energy-dense food. Energy-dense food are foods that have the carbs and the fats in them. Regardless of how long you choose to fast, nutrient-focused refueling, especially protein, is critical. And that's maybe one of the most valuable things in my intermittent fasting practice that I have learned from Marty, is he's just drilled it into my head. Protein, protein, protein. And so I will point you to look in the description box of this video by using the little caret or arrow or more info, whatever you can touch on your, whether it's your phone or your iPad or your computer, to read about protein's importance. There's a short video done with a woman by the name of Gabrielle Lyon, and she explains it. And then I also included a talk between Marty Kendall and Brian Mole. Marty was interviewing Brian. Brian has a new book out called Pro-Fast Diet, and that talks, Pro-Fast refers both to, well, it is talking about protein, the importance of protein during fasting, and it's talking about a technique of focusing on protein and keeping out the, keep pulling way back on the energy sources of carbs and fats to have a faster weight loss result. You can't do that all the time. It's the same reason Trim Healthy Mama says do not live on fuel pulls, which are the protein meals that have low carbohydrate, low fat sources in them. They're basically protein, lean protein with leafy greens and non-starchy veggies. Those would be protein-focused meals or fuel pull meals. Anyway, the description box is loaded with teaching info in there for you. I'm going to move to the tread desk now. I want to put on some miles, and I know my body needs to exercise as well. So that's where I'm going next. I am showered and dressed and at the place that I love to be in our home, and that is at my tread desk. But I have things that I have to do today that just can't be done at the tread desk. I've got to fill the fridge with groceries. That's looking pretty bare. And I have a lunch date to meet with some friends. That's a once a month thing. So going to do that. Got a lot of laundry to do. And just basic general settling back in chores. So I will get off here in a few minutes to show you, I'm going to cook up some quinoa to use as one of my energy sources today. I feel the need for carbs, energizing, adrenal soothing carbs. Since I'm showered and dressed, I can update you on my weight for this morning. It's 138.4, and yesterday I did get to weigh, but I forgot to mention what the weight was yesterday, 140.4. I had expected it to go up from Monday's 138 because Monday, after I weighed in and got that 138, I went and had that food fest time where I had the date with my daughter, and then I had a date with a friend, and I came home and I ate leftover deep dish pizza that my daughter bought over the weekend. So I actually, what I probably should do is just turn the camera around and show you the dots on the scale in an overview of when I started my challenge, today being day 20 of a 30-day challenge. So from day 1, where I started at DFW Airport, to this morning, now that I'm back home from that trip to California. So I'll turn the camera around and show you the scale, or not the scale, the tracking history. That's what it is. Just a second. Here's that image from my Renfro app, and you can see the dates there are from 7:15 to 8:03, 8/3 is today, August 3rd, and there are the dots to reflect where I began, the ups and downs, and where I'm at this morning. The last dot on the right, let's see if I can touch it while I'm here in the screen. No, one more. So 138.4 on 8/3. I ate very lightly yesterday because of it being a travel day, and today I'm feeling the need for more of an energy source. So I decided I was going to cook up some quinoa, and I'm going to show that to you. I have my Instant Pot here next to me, where last night I went ahead and I soaked the quinoa. I just dumped some in the Instant Pot. I didn't even measure it. Just dumped it in the Instant Pot and covered it with water, and put in a glug or two of apple cider vinegar. That helps the soaking process. And then I have rinsed the quinoa. I poured all that water off, rinsed it, and put it back in the pot, and then filled the pot just enough to cover the quinoa, just barely. I'll show you here. So there's not very much water in here. I'll try to jiggle it around so you can see that there's, well, if I even see, there's just not a lot of water in here. Just barely covers it. And so now what I'm going to do, I'll turn the camera around again. I'm going to take and put the cover on the Instant Pot, lock it down, make sure it's sealed, and then I'll turn it on here. So it's plugged in, and I'm going to hit pressure cook and dial it down to just 1 minute of pressure cooking. That's all it's going to take. So that's going to cook for a minute. It'll come to pressure. It'll pressure cook for 1 minute, and then it'll go on to low, but the pressure will naturally release, and this will give me a perfectly cooked quinoa that's not sticky or gummy. I'll show you when I'm done with it, when the cooking process is done. But now I'm going back to the tread desk. The quinoa has cooked and the natural release button has fallen, so I know that it's ready for me to, open. That's the little pressure valve button that falls down when the pressure is released. And I let it do it naturally. So now let's go ahead and open this and show you the quinoa. Okay, jiggle off the lid, let the water come out here, set the lid down, and then I just need to fluff the quinoa. So this is perfect. It's not gummy. I've got individual little grains here, and I can have a quinoa cereal this morning. I'm going to mix some of the Trim Healthy Mama creamy dreamy plant protein. That smells good even. There's nothing in it but water. So that's my cooked quinoa. And I can use this for the hot cereal dish I'm going to have, and I might have enough to make a salad later on if I want. The amount I cook seemed perfect to split it in two and use some for a salad later, chill it and use it in a cold vegetable salad. And then this other stuff that's still in the pot here, I'm going to mix in the creamy, dreamy plant protein. So there is the other half of this. And now I'm going to go ahead and make myself a hot quinoa cereal. This is the added protein that I'm going to mix into it. It says for 3 tablespoons, I get 15 grams of protein. And this is a 100% organic, cold-pressed, and defatted hemp hearts from Trim Healthy Mama. And this product I absolutely love. I like this more than their whey powder. I use both, but this is truly creamy and dreamy. And now I'm going to break my fast.
I encircled this with some oranges because I just felt the need for the vitamin C and help me to shake this cold that I picked up in California. And I tested for COVID before I got on the plane yesterday, so I know that I wasn't exposing people.
I had a second meal today. I had a date with 3 other friends. We meet once a month for a very long lunch, typically about 4 hours. And our hostess for this time, she put together this great platter of chicken and vegetables and some homemade dressings and tzatziki sauce and some bread. It was a great feast. So next I will show you the picture of my personal platter that I put together from what she offered, with the rice and a very nice bed of greens topped by all these veggies, and her tzatziki sauce was excellent. I need to get her recipe for that. And then she made this great dressing. She called it a feta dressing, so that recipe I'm going to have to get. I don't think I'm going to be able to link it in the video description box, but you never know. So you can look for that later. Actually, I think I can do it. So do look for it. I will ask her about the recipes. And then there was this dessert that she finished it off for us. And I definitely want the recipe for the chocolate brownie part. It was warm and gooey, and then she served it with some ice cream. It was a great feast, but it was also a great time to spend with friends. Very appreciative for this long-standing relationship.
I've got a new backdrop for tonight. I'm not sitting in the hot backyard here in Texas. I'm sitting in my husband's office that houses all these homeschool books that we used when I was educating the children here at home. I like looking at the scene behind me, all those beautiful pieces of our history, of the history books that we use to go through from creation to modern times. But you're not interested in our library, so let me recap the day. Today is day 20 of my 30-day challenge, and I am looking forward to finishing the 30th day and being able to say I have a complete set of videos to share with somebody about my doing the data-driven fasting with mostly Trim Healthy Mama, and sharing the meals that I've come up with along the way without any pre-planning, just going day to day, seeing what I find for food. That hot quinoa cereal that I had before I left for my date with my friends today, as far as the planning went on that, I came home last night from California. I've been gone since the 15th of July. Yesterday was the 2nd of August. The refrigerator was pretty empty, and so I just had to look and see what was available and see what I could fix for myself. I was feeling like I definitely wanted some carbs, and when I opened the pantry, the bag of quinoa was sitting there. I thought, okay, that'd be a good thing. I could soak the quinoa last night, start that soaking, and then cook that today. It's a very fast thing to cook, especially with an Instant Pot. And then looking in the fridge, I saw some sort of pitiful oranges and thought, oranges sound good after this cold has been lingering on in my head. And then I knew I needed to get a good amount of protein in it. So I used 1/4 cup of the Trim Healthy Mama Creamy Dreamy Plant Protein, which that amount, well, each tablespoon factors out to about 5 grams of protein. So 1/4 cup, it was a packed 1/4 cup. I got at least 20 grams of protein with that. I don't know how much protein would be in probably it was a good cup of quinoa that I had in the bowl. So I had that, and then I went off to, after I ate that, I went off to have lunch with my friends. And actually, eating before I went to eat was a technique to slow myself down a little bit, because I can put away a lot of food in one sitting. So it's probably in my best interest to go already somewhat fed. And so then with the lunch with friends, there was chicken, and that was one of the things that I put on my salad. Chunks of cooked chicken breast and stuff. So probably didn't get as much protein as I should have today. We'll see what happens the rest of this evening. Right now it is 7:30, and I'm hoping to finish out the day without any more eating. I think that the lunch with friends, we were finished consuming all of our food, including the dessert, at about 2, maybe 2:30 at the latest, because we sat and talked a while before we had dessert. But I think that's a good cutoff time for me, is I haven't had anything since 2:30. I'll just be generous with the time, since 2:30 this afternoon. And then if I can make it through the evening and the night without any more eating, then I can start fresh tomorrow. I don't anticipate being hungry. I certainly didn't lack for any energy sources today. I had both carbs and then fats. But so with that, I don't expect any measurable drop on the bathroom scale. I think, what was I this morning? 138.4? I can't remember. But I don't expect a big drop on the bathroom scale tomorrow morning. I would like to see another nice low glucose for my waking glucose tomorrow morning. And I think this morning's was 77, if I recall correctly. I'll look at the app here in a second. Yeah, I have both of those things right. The weight was 138.4 and the morning fasting glucose was 77. So I'd like to stay right in that same area when I wake up tomorrow. So considering I had 2 meals today and I had both fuels, and that second meal was a combination of both fuels, because there was rice in it, there was bread, then there was that feta dressing that was a fatty dressing, there were Kalamata olives on the salad, and then we finished up with that brownie, warm brownie slice, and the ice cream. So there's sugar and fats in that. I'm curious to see what my glucose is right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'm probably just going to take it off screen and then come back on and tell you what it is. So just a second on that. I'll take care of that. Not terrible, 102. So I'm going to go to bed with a glucose of about 102. I said it's 7:30 at night, and I won't take a number again. I'm probably going to call it a night early, earlier than normal. I like to have a bedtime of about 8:30 and crawl in bed and do some reading and be able to fall asleep. Tonight, I don't think I'm going to wait till 8:30 to crawl in bed. Now, tomorrow is going to be an interesting day, because tomorrow I have a ministry dinner to go to at church. And so I'm going to be served a dinner that I have no idea what to expect. I know it's not going to be fuel separated. It's just going to be something that will be appropriate to feed a large group of people. And so I need to decide how I'm going to handle that. I'm not going to sit there and reject the food. I don't want to stand out like a sore thumb. So I think the approach I'm going to take is load up on protein, green veggies, maybe make a green drink to drink on the drive over to church. So my husband's going to come home from work and pick me up, and we're going to make the drive over to church. It's about 45 minutes to an hour and 15, depending on the commuter traffic in the evening. And so if I have a bunch of veggies to lay a fiber foundation, and I have protein, I could go ahead and preload on protein, and then have a green drink to continue in adding in more nutritious, so that by the time I get to church, I'm not really interested in wolfing down in the meal that I'm offered. Obviously, I will still be able to eat the meal because I can put away a lot of food, but I will have filled up so that whatever food I do have, it's going to be enough where, well, here's the thing. Say they have dessert, but they don't portion it out. What if they have cookies on the table and I could take as many as I want? I'd be more inclined to take the decent amount of 1 or 2 cookies versus 4, or slipping in and even taking 5 or 6 if no one's looking. I mean, I can be a glutton, and that's a problem of mine. So eating a meal beforehand is, I think, a smart thing for me to do, knowing myself as well as I do around food. Anyway, that's tomorrow, and that'll be on tomorrow's video too. But today is day 20 of my 30-day health challenge, and I'm just sharing my day-to-day with you and telling you how I'm approaching food and how my numbers are looking as the days progress, and I'm trying to behave myself for the most part around food. Behave myself, not deny myself. I mean, I've had some wonderful food in the last 20 days. More than 1 round of deep dish Chicago-style pizza. I've had desserts. I've had sweets. I've had chocolate. I mean, today's meal was a wonderful feast, so I am definitely not depriving myself in this past 20 days. Not at all. Okay, that's the end of today. Thank you.